Dear students, welcome to this video. In this video, I am going to discuss a poem, The Harp of India by Henry Desrosiers. Before moving on to the poem, let's discuss about the writer. Henry Louis Vivian Desrosiers was born in the year 1809 and he is acknowledged as the first Indo-Anglian poet. His father was Indo-Portuguese and mother English. His reputation as a poet and scholar earned him the position of assistant master at Hindu College when he was barely 18. He went beyond teaching English literature. He made his students think for themselves, ask questions, and not shrink from the right answers. Many were deeply influenced by Desrosiers' personal charm, intellectual brilliance, liberal ideas, and zeal for social reform. His ideas questioned centuries-old customs and superstitions. But his career didn't last long. He passed away in his 23rd year. And his famous works, he published 2 volumes of poetry. First one, Poems, which was published in 1827, and The Fakir of Jangira, a metrical tale and other poems, which was published in 1828. He attempted several poetic forms like narrative verses, ballads, lyrics, and sonnets. Unsurprisingly, his poems echo the English Romantic poets in theme and imagery. Moving on to the poem, Harp of India. This poem celebrates the glorious past of India and mourns over its loss because of British rule, and it ends with the hope that India will regain its glory. So this poem, Harp of India, is a sonnet which consists of 2 sections. In the first section, the poet laments the loss of the glorious past of India because of British rule. And in the second part, the poet hopes that India will regain its glory. So let's discuss the poem. Why hangest thou lonely on yon withered bough, unstrung forever? Must thou there remain? Thy music once was sweet. Who hears it now? Why doth the breeze sigh over thee in vain? Silence hath bound thee with her fatal chain. Neglected, mute, and desolate art thou, like ruined monument on desert plain. So here the poet is lamenting. He is lamenting over the fact that the rich tradition of Indian poetry, it lies neglected. Okay. Why hangs thou lonely on yon withered bough, unstrung forever? Must thou there remain? Thy music once was sweet. Who hears it now? So the poet is talking about that rich tradition of Indian poetry. He laments that the rich tradition of Indian poetry, it lies neglected and is mute, like an unstrung harp on the withered bough of a leafless tree. So he is saying that the tradition of Indian poetry is neglected and is mute now. Thy music once was sweet, but who hears it now? Unstrung forever. The poet is saying that this rich tradition of Indian poetry, it lies neglected and is mute like an unstrung harp. Okay, what is the reason behind it? This is because India is under the British rule. Okay. Why doth the breeze sigh over thee in vain? Silence hath bound thee with her fatal chain. Neglected, mute, and desolate art thou, like ruined monument on desert plain. So that tradition of free expression, expressing the freedom of speech, the tradition of free expression, it now remains lifeless. The music which was produced by the harp was melodious then, but now no one hears it. Okay, the breeze blows over the broken harp. without producing any melody from it. That means the creative talent has been mute, as if it is chained by fetters of silence. Okay, silence had bound thee with her fatal chain. Neglected, mute, and desolate art thou, like ruined monument on desert plain. So here, the creative talent which existed once, it has been mute, as if it is chained by fetters of silence. So now the harp remains neglected, mute, and also desolate, like a ruined monument in the wilderness of a desert. So now it is neglected. That creative talent, it has been mute, which once existed. It was now mute. O many a hand more worthy far than mine, once thy harmonious chords to sweetness gave, and many a wreath for them did fame entwine, of flowers still blooming on the minstrel's grave. Those hands are cold, but if thy notes divine, maybe by mortal wakened once again, harp of my country, let me strike the strain. So, in the next section, the poet recollects that many poets with greater talent than his own had produced by strumming on the harp enchanting music. So, those poets, their achievement brought them fame, which continues to survive even after their death, like flowers that continue to bloom on the graves of poets buried long ago. So here the poet is saying that poets with creative talents are dead and gone. He feels that there is still hope. Okay, he expresses his desire to revive the divine art of poetic composition by striking on the long neglected harp. Okay, he is saying, maybe by mortal wakened once again, harp of my country, let me strike the strain. So, in this section, he is saying that poets with greater talents, poets with creative talents are dead and gone. Those writers, their achievement brought them fame. Okay, it continues to survive even after their death. But those creative talents are dead and gone. And he feels that there is still hope. Okay, he expresses his desire to revive the divine art of poetic composition. So that by striking on that long neglected harp. So there is still hope. So the poet here gives expression to his patriotism through his verse. Okay. He was a strong admirer of India's rich heritage, culture, tradition. So here in this poem, he laments of the decline of the rich tradition of Indian literature during the period of British domination. So according to the writer, the British imperialism made the Indian poets listless and they found nothing inspiring to compose literature, okay, except the misery of the nation. So here in this poem, Desrosiers pays a rich tribute to the Indian writers of the past who had enriched the Indian literature with their classic and everlasting literary works. So here through this poem, he expresses his wish to revive and rejuvenate through his humble poetic efforts the richness and glory of Indian literature. So he hoped that through his poetry, he could revive and rejuvenate through his humble poetic efforts, okay, the richness and also the glory of Indian literature, which once existed. So here Desrosiers refers to the rich art and tradition of Indian poetry as the harp of India. Okay, he uses harp as a symbol for the Indian poets who were earlier famous but under the British rule they are suffering. So he begins the sonnet with a question as to why the glorious tradition of Indian poetry was neglected like an unturned harp. Okay, he questions whether the art of Indian poetry, which during the period of British domination of India was almost dead, must remain in the state of mute forever like an unstrung harp? This is his question. Okay, so he recollects that the state of Indian poetry was once rich and glorious, like the sweet melodies of harp, but now that melody is heard no more. Okay, as the present times provide no inspiration to the creative minds and hearts to revive the tradition. Okay, so at least through his poetry, he could revive and rejuvenate that richness and glory of Indian literature. He also, through this poem, recollects that the art of poetry in the hands of poets of greater genius than his own had produced remarkable achievements. Okay, and those works of poetry brought their creators, that is, the poets, garlands of acclamation. So those poets belonging to the glorious period of Indian poetry continue to survive long after their death. Okay, through their poetry. So he expresses his desire to revive the dying art of poetry of his country with his humble poetic abilities and make the sky of Indian literature reverberate with melody of poetic art. So this poem on the whole is a patriotic poem that pays a glorious tribute to the rich tradition of the art of Indian poetry. And this poem, it ends on a note of hope. Okay, he wants to revive through his poetic efforts the glory of Indian literature and thereby the glory of mother country, India.